What are some guy secrets girls don't know about? First, little details don't mean a goddamn thing to us, which is why we often say we don't care. All that means to us is that since you thought of it first, it must matter to you more, therefore, we will do it your way. Not that it isn't important to us, but since it obviously means more to you, since you've obviously thought about this, we will do it your way. Second, physical intimacy is often how we show care about you. Ladies like cuddles, candies, and signs of affection. We like those too, but ladies, if your man offers to do something for you, that's his subliminal way of saying, I love you. So do yourself a favor and get out of your own head and accept the love he's trying to show you. Third, he is allowed to cry. Sometimes life sucks and there just isn't another way to show it. Society tells us from little bits that men don't cry, and it takes us a long time to uncondition that. So if you do see him cry, feel honored that he trusts you with that part of himself that he isn't supposed to allow anyone to see. Fourth, we are often the pursuer or initiator in relationships, and we will accept this burden happily. But every now and then, please do swap places with us. Let us come home to candlelight, leave nice clothes out on the bed for us to find. Don't send us flowers at work, though. Fifth, your man swallows a lot of grief you give him. Sometimes he will let you have it back, but most of the time he would rather swallow it and get back to normal than fight you in a lot of things. That does not mean he's complacent. It means he's putting the relationship ahead of his own needs. Sixth, we are truly the simplest of creatures to understand. When they say men are dogs, well, that's true. We like to have a full belly. We like to be told we did a good job. We like it when we get to play with you like stupid little puppies without judgment. Most of us will treat you like the only thing in existence that will ever have any true value if you let us. We will treat you like queens, princesses, and the warriors you are if you let us. And last, we love it when you show off your confidence. When my wife is happy with her appearance or proud of herself for one thing or another, she is the most wonderful creature in existence. When she berates herself, I hate that part of her. I accept it, but I hate it. Alright, so speaking from experience, I think I've cried about, at most, maybe 3 times in my life. Is that a little or is that a lot? I just don't know. I do feel like, though, that seems on the low end. Then again, just like the OP, I haven't really let that many people and women in. That last bit, though, I can't agree with. If your partner is down on themselves, don't make things worse and just hate that part of them. And come on, you can do a little bit more than just acceptance at that stage, right? Story 2. First, we hate small talk. We're interested in discussing our hobbies, our work, and other things. If our cross-section of interests intersects with yours, we will have an amazing time getting to know each other, and we will go on a wild drinking trip and experience revelatory, hitherto undescribed by science, earth-shattering fulfillment. Otherwise, please don't be offended if we just do nothing for a while. Second, if you ask us to do something, this is immediately loaded onto a list called chores.txt. Nagging us to do something will only result in a procedural recall and deprioritization. The way to motivate us is to say, I bet you can't do that in under X seconds, or I'll watch anything you want on TV if you do X right now, or you look so good when you do X chore. Be clever with how you get your man to do stuff. Third, work sucks. Sorry, but even people who claim to have a quote-unquote dream job would much rather be at home or elsewhere, having a great time, spending money, and being with their family, fellow brothers, or themselves. Please assume when we arrive home from work that we are tired, annoyed, and hungry and just want to relax and do our hobbies. We're not avoiding you or being intentionally evasive. We just have spent 8 hours of doing something other than the things we want to do, with you or without you. So when we get home, we would like some time to just do those things that interest us, make us laugh, or make us feel human again. I personally like to crank my Roland 60-watt cube and thrash a world-ending solo on my 8-string Jackson Dinky. Other men like to pour a stiff drink or grab a beer from the fridge. Other men like to relax in the garden while listening to Weird Al. Fourth, sometimes we like to be girly, and it's okay, and it would be nice that this behavior not be described negatively. Fifth, ties are a piece of crap invention that aggravate us. Please, don't buy us ties. We don't like ties. We wear them because we have to so we can acquire money through gainful employment. Sixth, big toys are great. Like seriously, you want to make your man happy? Buy him a massive hammer, or a powerful chainsaw, or a big toolbox, or some kind of semi-legal home defense weapon, or a big box to just put stuff in, or a massive barbecue. Bigger is always better, even if it is unnecessary. And last, we like massages. Story 3. When I talk with other men, it's never about significant details. I'm game to mess around with my friends more than wonder how things actually are. If I've known them for a long time and we chat frequently, I already know what's up and it's always business as usual. Sometimes my friends and I will discuss actual issues, and it's those talks I remember the most because there's an awful lot of trust there. I treasure those moments, and they really define friendships for me. Not what is said, but what is said in confidence. If I say I do not care, I literally don't. That's it, full stop. There isn't some hidden arc there. I have voiced my opinion, do as you desire, I'm cool with whatever, so please. If you insist I pick between X and Y and I already told you it doesn't matter and that I don't care, I'll actually care and make a choice. Please don't harm me. Now, here's a big secret: men are wired to be able to do nothing. If I tell you I am doing nothing, it's correct and you shouldn't question it as I can't explain it. I lack the ability. If I say I'm doing nothing, I'm actively pursuing nothing in particular. This does not always mean I want it to be interrupted, but it always means exactly what it says on the tin. I am always thinking of something else 90% of the time, so if you have something to say and you think I'm not paying attention, you're right and should get my attention. Also, and I don't know if this applies to others, but I always do before thinking, especially when I'm tired. If you tell me to do something, I'm already off to do it. There is no lapse in time for me unless you tell me to hold off on it for whatever reason. If you tell me to, say, cut this part of the yard, the only thing I'm thinking about before confirming is if the mower needs grass. You told me to do it, so you are giving me permission to do it now, unless and only if you give me a time frame. Finally, and again, I don't know if this will apply to others, but it's not that I'm rude, it's that I can't relate and I refuse to try to. Sorry. Story 4. Guys really enjoy side by side time. It took a while for my wife to figure it out, but side by side time is when you are engaged in an activity with someone else, not necessarily talking to them. You bond through the shared experience of the activity, not by talking to each other. This is why so many guys reminisce about shared experiences and tell stories about things they did together. I also happen to think that side by side time is why guys like games so much. I game online with my good friends frequently, and we rarely get past "how are you" in terms of personal chat, but we all love it. The same goes for watching sports, playing board games, other hobbies, and stuff. So, if you really want to impress your husband or boyfriend, intentionally spend side by side time with him. Pick an activity or hobby that he enjoys and just do it with him. Don't ask him if he's enjoying himself or what he's thinking. If you have to, literally just sit next to him on the couch and watch the game with him. If he's comfortable with it, quietly watch him build his computer or ask him how it works. Keep the conversation about the activity going. Avoid asking him how he's doing unless he brings it up. Like literally, just be there with him. Sit and be there while he cleans his stuff or just read a book in the same room he's reading in. For women who are married to an introvert, if you really want to have a conversation, ask your husband or boyfriend about something they're interested in or enjoy. Point being, guys and introverts in general find it 10 times easier to talk about something than themselves. Ask a guy how his day is? Fine. Ask a guy to explain something about his favorite hobby? You might be there for hours. This is a generalization, but I think there is some truth in it. I think women tend to bond through verbal communication and they get worried or nervous to just be there with their partner side by side because they aren't actually doing anything. But guys see that as bonding and caring. Best side by side time activity? Hands down, possibly ever? Couch co op games. Maybe not so much the Overcooked series, though. That one might end up ending some relationships, if you know what I mean. Story 5. Guys can communicate in a series of head nods and grunts. For example, guy 1 walking down the street. Guy 2 nods his head downward, maintaining visual contact with guy 1's face to see his immediate expression. Guy 1 nods his head downward as well. Guy 2 lets out a small sigh as he passes Guy 1. Now here's a breakdown of what just happened. Guy 1 and Guy 2 do not know each other as indicated by the downward head nod. Had they known each other, the nod would be an upward motion and eye contact would be maintained. Guy 2 was trying to gauge whether Guy 1 was a friend or foe by looking at his immediate facial expression. Had Guy 1 furrowed his brow and not given the corresponding head nod, Guy 2 would know that he was a threat and wouldn't have sighed. Guy 1 nodded back. This indicates that he is indeed not an immediate threat and could be interested in Guy 2's next communication. As Guy 2 was passing, he gave Guy 1 a sigh. There are many different types of sighs, but they are usually interpreted as an indicator of a long day, fatigue, or frustration. Now, this is a sign of weakness and, in a way, a small sign of trust. And by doing that, it lets Guy 1 know that you are not a threat and are probably going to get groceries or something lame. Now, depending on Guy 1's mood, he will either mentally empathize with Guy 2's situation or forget about it completely, depending on his next task at hand. If guy 1 takes the side to heart, he will scrunch his bottom lip upward and his top lip downward while maintaining a blank expression. This lets guy 2 know he sends his condolences. Just a small lesson in the universal language of dudes. Interesting way to put it. More often than not, I'm guy 1. Glad OP also pointed out the differences between an upward nod and a downward nod too, because those little subtle differences can actually mean a lot face to face. Story 6. Men have just as many issues with mental health, depression, anxiety, and body issues. Please recognize this. I hate living in a world where it's not socially acceptable for men to talk about these things. A lot of guys talk about their experiences and issues but don't feel like they can. I feel like we just sort of ignore the issue, and guys that have mental health issues are sort of looked down upon because, well, men are all supposed to be outgoing and confident. Maybe you have a guy friend who doesn't get out a lot, or maybe he's acting strange or isn't totally there. This might be why. Mental health issues are experienced by everyone, and it's a very serious issue that isn't talked about enough, especially for men. Also, I had a friend in college who really tried to get me to go to a male group therapy session. The thought of it gave me anxiety, and I didn't go, but I really regret not going. I was able to make my situation better by removing myself from the toxic environment that I found myself in and talking more openly about my struggles to friends who would listen. I found outlets through film, media, music, and comedy. I'm not an expert on these issues, but I know them firsthand. If you need help, I strongly urge you to reach out to someone, seek therapy, and find outlets that spark joy. Story 7. We aren't always up for doing stuff together. It doesn't mean that we don't care about you, the marriage, or the relationship. A lot of our hobbies, which we men typically do, revolve around being alone, focusing on something, and getting the task done. It makes us feel fulfilled, productive, and proud. We also aren't so entrapped by society when it comes to being social. In other words, just because Fred and Clive isn't posting on Instagram about being out and about, people don't assume they're lonely, Billy no mates types. And because we can so comfortably be alone with our thoughts, sometimes it really takes a great deal of empathy and understanding on our part to appreciate that you might not also have hobbies you can do alone. Where I can open my laptop and start playing video games, my girlfriend doesn't have that node for instant gratification. When you say you're bored, please help us to better comprehend what you mean by contextualizing what is causing your boredom. Sometimes we don't realize we are being selfish and making you feel lonely when all we want to do on a Saturday is slob about. We love you, our partners, dearly, but we're not always great at empathy because of a lifetime of being told to suck it up. Alright, so I know some of these stories have really hit home, hey? They might not be so secret anymore after all of these. We've got a lot more good ones coming up. But hey, at least we're all on the same page now. And if we're vibing with what you're hearing, please do show me some love with a like, and don't forget to subscribe while you're at it because it really super does help me out. Let's go ahead and get back to the next story. This is Story 8. Story 8. We all have the same worries, needs, self-doubt, hopes, dreams, and fears as women do. We can cry at movies. We often find joy in watching happy children. We are happy to see people succeed and feel bad when people fail. It's just that we've been trained over the course of our entire lives to hold that in, keep it hidden lest someone think we're something less than a man. Sharing any of that with someone is a very intimate, personal act that makes us feel vulnerable. The vulnerability of someone judging us for things that are universally human but have been stamped into our heads as wrong to do because of who we are. If a man tells you stuff about how he's feeling emotionally, or if he's upset, scared, or self-conscious, he is placing a lot of trust in you. This isn't like one of your girlfriends is venting on a girl's day out. This is a huge show of trust and love, so please, ladies, treat it as such. I know this kind of thing might seem like no big deal to a lot of you, but for us guys, it's huge. Story 9. I just wanted to be heard sometimes, be patient. It's not always easy to find the correct words. I have a good memory, but I don't remember dates or times that well. I don't remember the exact time or date when I finally knew I loved you or even knew that I wanted to be in an actual relationship. There are double standards in every relationship. If we're going to go through a tough time, we need to stand together and face the problem, not constantly snipe at each other. It will only rip us further apart. Initiate intimacy sometimes. I don't want to feel like it's just a chore for you when I want it. I want to be appreciated and understood, just like you do. I do have emotions. I do want to cry when I'm frustrated. I want to know if things will be okay. I'm also self-conscious of my body too. I will spend half an hour in front of the mirror picking at every imperfection. And I'm human. I make mistakes. I screw up. But I will always try to learn from them and fix it. Story 10. I hadn't cried in probably 10 or more years until last year. My best friend passed away the last night we hung out. We were having deep conversations that night about life, and I had no idea he was depressed. He never showed it. He was always the liveliest and goofiest person in the room and could always bring a smile to anyone's face. Even the next day, when his mom called me and told me she found him, I didn't cry. I got really teary eyed and sad, but I couldn't bawl it out like I wanted. It wasn't until his funeral, when I walked up to his brother, who was also a really good friend, to express my condolences, that I broke down and bawled my eyes out with him and his mom in front of everyone. Even remembering this brings a tear to my eye. I still wish he would have hinted something to me. I still feel guilty, like I could have prevented it somehow if he had told me how he was feeling. Story 11. Many men in relationships are aware that we have different software, so they'll try to keep the lady happy, accommodating to her software, useless fight avoidance mode. For example, her. Remember I told you we were doing this thing? Him. I know as a fact that she never told me, but I'll answer, sure, honey, but could you remind me, please? Example 2. Her. You lost my car keys again. Why are you so careless? Him. I know as a fact I never touched those keys, but I'll answer, sorry, darling, I'll help you find them. Example 3. Her. What do you think about the new flower pot in the kitchen? Him. I've no clue that it existed, but I'll answer, I thought it was cute. It gives a different feel to the room. Great job, darling. Her. I knew you'd like it. I could go on and on, but this is a huge reason why a lot of marriages fail. Young men don't seem to comply with the useless fight avoidance mode. I hope it changes for the better. My dad's fight avoidance style, as he tried to impress upon young me, was to just let my mother, his wife, speak and not say a thing back. Unfortunately, that just wasn't my style, as I tend to snap back. But having grown up a bit now, neither works, shutting up or snapping back. So OP's got it right here. Just be cool, and if it ain't a big deal, swallow your pride and just be nice. Story 12. We're really okay with how little we say out loud. When men have conversations, we don't say things that don't really matter. We actually vocalize the key points and let the other person in the conversation fill in the blanks because we trust them to fill them in correctly. It actually bothers men when women go into every minute detail about whether it is we're getting at because we feel you aren't trusting us to listen and understand. This leads to a downward spiral between us listening less and you trying to talk even more because we just aren't getting it, until we get to argument level. Actually, it's not just conversations, it's pretty much anything that requires trust. We'll trust you to get dressed on your own, dress us as needed, pick out where to eat, etc. All the classic men/women silly arguments are ones where men would be perfectly happy to just skip to the finale, no matter what that finale ends up being, because we just don't want the details and we trust you to make good decisions. Story 13. We want to solve your problems way more than we want to emotionally support you. Or another way to say it is that men offer more informational support than emotional support. I remember reading an article about this in Psychology Today or something, and it completely made me realize a few things. I would start to call myself on it when I was with my girlfriend. She would complain about something. I would come running in with answers on exactly how to solve the problem. She would get pissed off at me and we'd fight. I didn't realize all it took was, crap, that sucks, I'm sorry. I have to say that even now that I am cognizant of this fact, I still find it difficult to change. I really do want to offer solid answers to the problems. I do find it difficult to just sit back and go, that sucks, etc. Story 14. We like compliments, especially if we weren't supposed to hear them. My wife mentioned to me earlier this week that she wanted corn dogs. I stopped by the store and bought her some, along with Pringles, because she always wants chips with corn dogs. I woke up yesterday morning and was lying in bed reading. My wife was on the phone with a coworker, she works from home, and said she had the best husband ever. I had gone out of my way to pick up food she had been craving, and it completely made her day. She had no clue I was awake. I usually get up 2 hours after her due to work schedules and still didn't know I had heard it. It's such a small thing on both sides, but I absolutely love that she told a stranger that I'm awesome when I wasn't around. Not much is better than that. I gotta agree with OP, we sometimes just don't get enough compliments, and when we do finally get one, it really does mean a lot. Alright, so these guy secrets are a good reminder that guys and girls are more similar than we think. Am I not right? Right? If you're curious to know more about what guys are thinking, hop over to Girls, what's a question you're too embarrassed to ask guys? Story 1 is unexpectedly deep. I'll see you there, and thank you for watching this one.